You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to the main news with Banda Tandi, where the headlines. Parliament adjourns in view of the coronavirus as MP put to rest. Former Chikankata DC Sylvester Simayamba dies of COVID-19. Mwembeshi Clinic runs out of medical supplies. In international news, Nigerian wedding day massacre as gunmen kill 18 guests and wound 30 others. And in sports, Nakambala Leopards stay in Super League in limbo. We do take our set of commercials and return with more news stories. Do stay with us.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customer service @lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Banda Tandi, where we do take the details of the story. The late Mwansa Wombo, a member of parliament who died on Saturday last week, has been put to rest. Senior government officials, family and friends, politicians amongst others, converged at the Praise Christian Center for a church service in honor of the late Member of Parliament. Meanwhile, the ruling Patriotic Front PF, through its media director, took advantage of the funeral to castigate the opposition United Party for National Development UPND leadership for not attending the funeral. Mr. Chanda wondered why the UPND leadership decided to stay away from such a national event.
Unacceptable that for a funeral of this magnitude, the opposition and especially the opposition UPND is completely absent. It's totally unacceptable. For a senior member of the House, such as Honorable Rogers Moewa, someone who's been in the House from 2011 until his demise, we expected that we could even see the leader of the opposition attending this funeral. We expected to see the likes of the Garing Combos attending this funeral, because beyond politics is what is called brotherhood. Unfortunately, convenient to our brothers have stayed away. They've shunned this very, very important funeral. This is the sort of politics that we must be able to condemn as a people.
Meanwhile, members of parliament have elogized the deceased MPs, who include Mwenya Mukonge and Mwasawombe MP Rogers Mwewa, in different ways. Vice President Enonge Wina led the House in remembering the late MPs. Earlier, the House observed a moment of silence in honor of the two deceased MPs.
I wish to place on record our regret and sorrow and anguish over the demise of the two honorable members who passed away at the Levi Mwanawasa Hospital in Lusaka on Saturday, 18th July 2020.
To borrow the words of our honor, these two were gallant soldiers, patriotic Zambians that provided patriotic service to this country. Mr. Speaker, during the service that these two honorable MPs provided to Zambia, they interacted with various people and represented Mother Zambia on various platforms, both local and international.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the United Party for National Development and its leadership under President Hakainde, would like to convey our most sincere condolences to the families of our colleagues, viz. Rogers Mwewa of Mwansabombwe constituency and Mwenya Mukonge for Lukansha constituency. Mr. Speaker, as I convey my condolences, I would like to state that the two colleagues who are passed on were decent human beings.
Mr. Speaker, I've been here for the past 9 years, and we have debated these motions before, after losing some of our members of parliament. But today is certainly a unique one. It's the very first time we're having to move a motion in remembering two honorable MPs passing on or dying on the same day. So it's a very difficult moment, Mr. Speaker, and we can only look to Lord God, our Creator.
Still in some sad news, former Chikankata District Commissioner Sylvester Simayava has died of suspected coronavirus. Mr. Simayava died in the early hours of Tuesday at the University Teaching Hospital, UTH. The late Mr. Simayava's brother-in-law, Mr. Zulu, has confirmed his death. The late Mr. Simayava was until his untimely death National Democratic Congress NDC Southern Province chairperson.
Standing order.
And in other news, Parliament, which was supposed to adjourn at the end of July, had been prematurely discontinued. This is due to the sharp rise in cases of the coronavirus pandemic. Vice President Enonge Wina on Tuesday moved a motion for adjournment of the House on account of saving lives. Ms. Wina says despite Parliament following all health guidelines, COVID-19 cases at Parliament have continued to swell. The House is now expected to resume in September 2020.
Standing Order 33-1 provides that in an emergency, the leader of government business in the House may at any time seek leave of the House to adjourn the House with prior permission from the Speaker. Sir, an emergency has arisen, which requires that the House adjourns sine die. As the Honorable Minister of Health has already indicated, the coronavirus 2019 cases have spiked, and the National Assembly has not been spared. Mr. Speaker, It is unfortunate that despite the House following the health guidelines, the cases of COVID-19 have been rising at the institution and in the country generally. Mr. Speaker, it is in this regard that I seek the indulgence of the honorable members that in accordance with Standing Order 33-1 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2016, the House adjourns sine die.
And in view of the coronavirus disease 2019, the House do now adjourn sine die. As many as are of their opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. The House is now adjourned.
Meanwhile, Opposition United Party for National Development UPND President Hakainde Hichilema has called for mandatory testing of all members of parliament in order to combat further spreading of the coronavirus. Mr. Hichilema says this may help in breaking the chains of transmission of the virus to their family members and members of the general public.
We continue to mourn the death of two gallant members of parliament, namely Honorable Roger Smweo of Mwansabombwe constituency and Honorable Mwenya Mkonge of Lukasha constituency. No doubt the nation has been robbed of members of parliament who committed their lives to improve the welfare of their fellow citizens. I've also sadly learnt of the death of two other members of staff from the National Assembly of Zambia. We offer our sincere condolences to the families of the deceased and pray for God's comfort in these trying times. In view of the fact that the National Assembly of Zambia has recorded 4 deaths in a space of just under 2 weeks, coupled with the fact that 4 or more other members of the National Assembly, be it MPs or other staff, are reported to be in isolation due to the suspected COVID-19 infections, it was wise to close the institution. Let me conclude by saying that in times like these, we require national unity and prayer as we heighten our public health awareness and other measures. I also call upon our citizens to take COVID-19 seriously and observe prescribed public health measures, protective measures, and come forward for testing whenever members of the public feel uneasy or they are not sure of their situation. It's better to be tested and to be tested early so we can save lives. Let's stay safe and save innocent lives. Life is a gift from God. We should not waste it. We should protect it whenever it's possible. God bless Zambia. God bless our people.
However, Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya has announced that all members of Parliament will undergo testing on Wednesday at the National Assembly Clinic and their results will be released on Thursday. The minister discloses that only 6 out of 156 members of Parliament have voluntarily tested for COVID-19 at the National Assembly Clinic. Meanwhile, the Health Minister has disclosed that the country has recorded 60 new cases and no deaths recorded. Dr. Chilufya says 18 are on oxygen support, with 2 in a critical condition.
In anticipation of the opening of Parliament, the Ministry of Health worked with the National Assembly management to set up screening and testing facilities at the Parliament Clinic. Further, the management at National Assembly put in measures to ensure physical distancing, to ensure sanitization of all that are entering its premises. These measures, Mr. Speaker, were adequate. However, I have noted with dismay that out of the 156 members of Parliament, only 6 tested voluntarily at the clinic, despite having a dedicated team
at the Parliament clinic for the whole period that we've been in session, Mr. Speaker, only 6 tested for COVID-19. Mr. Speaker, this is not acceptable. The importance of testing cannot be overemphasized. Mr. Speaker, testing will give us an opportunity to detect the cases early and link the cases to proper case management and avoid negative outcomes. And this is the surest way of even preventing further spread, because those who are positive then are isolated.
And in other news stories, reports regarding lack of drugs in clinics, both rural and urban, continue to linger on the people's lips. The situation is not different at Mwembeshi Rural Health Center, which the local people say has run out of medical supplies. The residents claim that even Panadol, paracetamol, is missing at this health center as they are asked to buy from private drugstores. Mwinga now gives us a report.
The Medical for Quality Healthcare in Zambia had released a report concerning drug scarcity in local health institutions with the hope that the situation would change for the better. West still reports regarding lack of drugs in both rural and urban clinics have continued to surge. This time, the cries are coming from Mwembeshi residents of Lusaka's Chilanga district, where it is reported that even simple drugs like Panadol are scarce. It is also alleged that some people in this area shun visiting Mwembeshi clinic due to the situation. The residents added that the area's location itself is full of poor people who have struggled with even having access to simple basic needs, yet they have only been prescribed with what to buy from the drugstores that are far-flung from their localities, making it even more costly on top of the burden. According to those interacted with, mortality rate in the area is likely to increase due to such things government has not been paying attention to. Efforts to get a comment from the institution management proved futile by broadcast time.
Munga sebenangu fotozo wa mankwala namba clinic tunaenda kwa kitara tumeopera kwenda kwa clinic fanya kuma pesa kwa mankwala
ina problem imozi yemetupezeka nayo kwa clinic kwa tu ndokonga tu apezeka patient pakutubere ku clinic pezeka ati mankwala kulibe kaenda paka drugstore pezeka mankwala ni $1 ndrama zo gura mankwala kulibe so ndrama kwa metu zicho niko tu so tungachitebwa nyunga government
no problem ye vya mankwala zona clinic ukanda clinic bakoza tikakule mankwala ero shindo patient tulibe ndrama mali wazamu tani ndani government should look after this.
How then is government addressing this life-threatening issue? Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Mwinga.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We do take our second set of commercials and return with more news stories. Do not go away.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant Save Nations to Develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cybersecurity.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Camnet TV Main News with Banda Tandiwe. We do continue with our stories. The Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, has seized 6 trucks from different parts of the country for various smuggling-related offences involving goods worth 5 million kwacha. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsi Sikalinda says 4 among the trucks are those which are illegally bringing in commodities under the names of public benefit organization. Meanwhile, the authority has destroyed various substandard items worth 1 million kwacha in taxes. Mr. Sikalinda says the authority will continue to conduct audits to ensure that the law is fully applied. More details in this report.
Zambia Revenue Authority, within its mandate, ensures that taxes are collected through the right channels, but also ensuring that those passing through the border declare the right type of goods for them to collect the right tax for particular items. In May, the authority conducted its routine audit to ascertain its suspicion of illegal activities, especially among those that are under the Public Benefit Organization. A public benefit organization is a charitable organization defined by institute in a given jurisdiction. In this case, these organizations were found guilty of abusing these privileges, which the authority has unearthed. In the process, the authority has impounded 6 trucks from various parts of the country, of which 4 were those to be declared under PBOs. Topsis Kalinda, ZRA Corporate Communications Manager, says the authority will continue to be vigilant in an effort to curb smuggling and other related activities.
As you are aware, recently the authority started doing an audit on public benefit organizations that we felt were abusing various tax incentives that were there, when in fact they were not benefiting the public. And this is just to vindicate us that the results have already started showing. So far 6 trucks are in our custody. 2 of them are here with us in Chirundo. They are carrying cooking oil, and we also have another one in Konde carrying used clothing. We also have 3 in Lusaka that are carrying used clothing and 1 carrying electricals. And we want to assure you that we are on top of things, and we will ensure that such vices are brought to a complete halt. The 6 trucks are carrying goods worth over 5 million kwacha, and these goods have been seized in accordance with the Customs and Excise Act, Cap 322 of the laws of Zambia.
Among the confiscated items, the authority has donated about 3,000 liters of cooking oil to Mtendere charity as a way of cushioning the burden that comes with the COVID-19.
As part of our good gesture, we've decided to donate the cooking oil that is fit for human consumption. We have 2 sets. The first set is fit for human consumption. We have decided to donate it to the various charitable organizations as follows. We have Mtendere Hospital, which is based here in Chirundo, which is going to be one of the beneficiaries, going away with quite a huge number of cooking oil, which is 100 boxes. Then we have Mtendere Orphanage, also getting about 25 boxes. Then we have the Social Welfare Department, which is also going away with 20 boxes.
Meanwhile, the authority has destroyed assorted items worth 1 million kwacha, among them cooking oil, alcohol and sanitary ware.
The items that have been destroyed today include various alcoholic brands, cigarettes, clear bulbs, tires, sanitary pads, herbal medicines, cooking oil and mealie meal. All these goods are not fit for human consumption because they are either expired goods or counterfeit products that we cannot allow on the Zambian market. We will no longer charge you penalties for any goods that have been caught in smuggling, either through transit fraud, through under declarations or any other issues.
The 6 trucks impounded are worth 5 million kwacha in taxes. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Chirundo.
And in other news, Democratic Party spokesperson Judith Kabemba has called for unity amongst the opposition in Zambia. Ms. Kabemba said this is the surest way of voting out the ruling Patriotic Front PF from power. Ms. Kabemba further accuses the PF of being a violent and corrupt party. Let's get the details in this report.
Recently, Zambians have observed so much hatred coming from the opposition political parties in Zambia, especially between the ruling Patriotic Front PF and Zambia's biggest opposition political party, the United Party for National Development UPND. Recently, the opposition have been complaining of segregation in application of the law and accusing the ruling of using COVID-19 to deter the opposition from having campaigns and inter-party elections. Speaking to Camnet TV is Judith Kabemba, Democratic Party spokesperson, who says the Democratic Party shall not dance to the Patriotic Front tune of violence and corruption. Ms. Kabemba told Camnet TV in a phone call interview, PF's behavior are just kicks of a dying horse.
That as DP, we have said we are not going to dance to the PF tune of violence, the PF tune of hate speech, because the Zambian people are tired of all these things. And they are looking for a leadership that will take this country forward, a leadership that is serious with governance. And so we can only advise even our other colleagues to say, come on, you know, PF has the last kicks of a dying horse. And so let us not fall prey to their tactics.
Ms. Kabemba further called on political parties to work together to ensure Zambia is developed.
I mean, one of the things that fosters development is teamwork. And as DP, we believe that there is time for politics and there is time to put national interest first. But apparently what we have seen, especially with the party in government, is that they don't want to bend and listen to the advice of stakeholders. Because we know that political parties are stakeholders in governance. And so when you look at past presidents or past governments, one of the things that made them strong was that they listened to the voice of the opposition. Because even in opposition, for example, as DP, it is not everything that we oppose. When we see the ruling party do something right, we say, well done, this is good. When they go astray, we say, come on, this will put our people and our country in problems. But that is where we have a challenge, because even when we speak, the ruling party doesn't want to listen.
She has advised the Patriotic Front government to learn to bend and listen to opposition political parties and try to adopt some of the advice they are given. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
National Union of Private and Public Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, is concerned about the long period of time that teachers stay home before being deployed. NUPEZ has observed an influx of teachers that the employment system is failing to absorb for the long period of time now. NUPEZ General Secretary Nelson Mwale says he has noted many complaints about high levels of teacher unemployment rate in Zambia, which he says is as a result of colleges training teachers in areas that are on low demand. Mr. Mwale says inasmuch as the union is appealing to government to consider reducing the crisis, he explains that it is unfortunate that teacher unemployment rate cannot be reduced due to government's empty quotas. Here's a report.
As National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, indeed we sympathize with the many teachers that have not been employed both by the private sector and by government. And we are appealing to government to work on the Treasury Authority so that as many teachers as possible are employed, especially that we are in a period where, you know, a number of private schools have actually shut down because of COVID-19. And so we are saying how I wish government would employ as many as possible because at the end of the day, colleges have continued, training, and yet people are not being absorbed by the system. And also, we want to advise colleges also to concentrate on needy areas when training our teachers, because at the end of the day, we have many teachers that have been employed in English language, many people that have been employed in social sciences, and yet vacancies for those areas are very, very few. The available vacancies are those for mathematics and science. And I think with a bit of interaction with the government, we've been given an assurance that the criteria to be used will be the same, where priority is given to those that completed earlier than others. Apart from a few areas where you find in that particular year that you are interested in, you do not have mathematics and science. And so you may find yourself getting those that are newly graduated, leaving those that have been in the system for a very, very long time. Why? Because there's a particular need area that, is needed.
The Center for Health and Education is concerned about the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in the country. Center Executive Director Amos Mwale says the solution is beyond masking, social distancing, and hand sanitization, noting that these are the key but probably some missing key interventions. He says there is need to give a human face to the COVID-19 pandemic to show what is happening in the intensive care units ICU. Mr. Mwale hopes that this will aid in identifying the underlying scientific and social factors, hence offering appropriate evidence-based interventions to strengthen the response. Mr. Mwale adds that this will also help with mapping targeted populations with high-risk mortality rates and designing guidelines to prevent further deaths.
If we need to avoid the spread of COVID-19, we need to ensure that people who test are receiving their results in a timely period, because there is no reason to test and then you receive the results after 10 days. It means that you are putting people, your family members, your contacts in a risk without them knowing. So it will be very difficult to manage the spread if we are not giving people results in a timely manner. We want also to appreciate the efforts that the Ministry of Health is making in ensuring that these interventions are being done. However, the number of BIDs coming into our hospitals and the facilities are too much. We need to appeal to the scientists to ensure that they are able to investigate what is causing these BIDs. Is it the different type of COVID we have? Why has the numbers of brought in dead risen in the last 2 weeks? We've not seen such a thing. So there is need for scientists to have evidence that will help us design interventions that will be tailored for people who are at risk, especially the people who are being taken to the hospitals late and the people who are dying from home. So we hope that the key stakeholders are able to listen and have interventions to ensure that we practice what we've been taught, and then also we go beyond the hand washing and masking to know what interventions we can make for people who are dying from homes to seek quicker medical attention.
The Paralegal Alliance Network PAN notes that access to justice is a human right and an important tenet of good governance, hence the need to ensure that good laws are enacted to freely dispense it. PAN has, however, noted the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic will negatively affect the delivery of justice, especially those in rural areas. The organization is therefore suggesting that government puts in measures to formally recognize paralegals in Zambia through the National Legal Aid Policy and further review the Legal Aid Act. PAN says such positive steps, once taken by the state, will help decongest correctional facilities and fast-tracking access to release on bail for pre-trial detainees. Meanwhile, PAN is calling on government to immediately give enhanced financial incentives to health workers in the front line of the fight against COVID-19, as opposed to channeling these resources to other projects. This is according to a statement issued to Camnet TV News by PAN National Coordinator Filio Savuni on behalf of the PAN members.
Political Alliance Network just held its annual general meeting for 2020 and came up with some resolutions. Obviously, the first thing to say is that PAN is generally happy with the progress that government is making in terms of ensuring that marginalized groups of people are able to somehow will access justice, and that is through the formulation of the national legal policy. Because the policy itself actually has put in place guidelines on how legal aid services is going to be provided, and that is through paralegal services and also other services. But also members were able to raise concerns, one of them being the fact that there's still a lot of delays confirming the orders for juvenile offenders actually that have been convicted. The process takes too long, and we are aware that judiciary is in the process of ensuring that that is addressed. But the concern is that the process itself is taking too long, and if that can be addressed within a short time, I think it's something that will help. The other concern is the issue of the non-use of community sentencing, which is in the law now, which we feel the judiciary is not utilizing as much to decongest prisons, because the law has provided that certain matters, one can be sentenced to actually community sentencing, but we see a lot of such even being taken to prisons as well. And what we are saying is that use of community sentencing will ensure that people with who committed less offenses can find themselves actually doing community sentencing, community service work in that regard. So to some extent, that's what members of the Political Alliance Network are saying among the other resolutions that have been highlighted.
And in other news, Topstar has announced that the addition of 2 more local channels, ZNBC 3 and 4, that will air for free is a projected way of fighting against the spread of COVID-19. Topstar Acting Chief Executive Officer for Communications Company, Mr. Brooklyn, says the introduction of the free-to-air channels will enable pupils and the community at large to have access to wider local content, affordable television, as well as having access to free education for non-examination classes. Mr. Brooklyn says Topstar, in collaboration with the General Education Ministry, has introduced a scholarship to support high-flyer pupils who may not be able to carry on with their education owing to the failure to pay their school fees.
4 months ago, the Zambian government closed down schools as part of efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. In June 2020, only examination classes were allowed to reopen, while non-examination classes were introduced to e-learning platforms. The innovations were brought about to help pupils not to lose focus on education. While government and various stakeholders have continued to contribute towards the fight against the coronavirus, Topstar Communications Company Limited has launched its new corporate social responsibility project, dubbed the Topstar Match A Kwacha Education Fund. The fund will be raised by obtaining a 1 kwacha from every decoder purchased beginning August 1st, 2020.
Our CSR programs as Topstar are engaging and are designed to have impact on the communications where we operate throughout Zambia. I'm proud to announce the introduction of Topstar Match A Kwacha education funds, where 1 kwacha for every decoder purchased beginning August 1st, 2020, will be channeled to support The higher flyers pupils who may not be able to carry on their own fail to pay their school fees. All applicants will follow the procedure set out to assess the funds.
The fund, in form of a scholarship, will be channeled to support high-flyer pupils who are less privileged, belonging to non-examination classes starting from grade 8s. Topstar Acting Chief Executive Officer Mr. Brooklyn says other than the scholarship fund, the company, in conjunction with the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation ZNBC and the Ministry of General Education, have introduced a free education broadcasting channel to help the pupils, both primary and secondary, have access to quality education from the comfort of their homes and reduce the risk of the coronavirus infections. Topstar has since added 2 more free channels as a way of giving back to the community for more local content to be benefited from.
We have added the 2 TV stations to the Topstar platforms, bringing the total numbers to 23 and still growing. The addition of the more local TV station to the platforms signifies the importance of the roles Topstar plays in the broadcast media industry.
Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Namwenga Mwinga.
You're still watching Camnet TV Main News with Banda Tandiwe. We do take our last set of commercials as we return with our international and sports news stories. Do stay with us.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. In our international news, gunmen killed 18 guests at the wedding celebration in northern Nigeria's Kaduna state. The armed men arrived on motorcycles and stormed Kakum Daji village in Kora district before opening fire on the guests at 10:35 p.m. on Sunday. The gunmen killed 18 men at the wedding party and injured 30 others, most of them young men. The state police spokesperson confirmed that there has been deaths without giving a toll. And in our sports news, Nakambala's Leopards' future in the Zambia Super League is hanging in the balance of Zamfoot crew understands. The Sugar Boys have not yet started training despite government and FARS giving a go-ahead back in June. The team is still awaiting clearance from the sponsor's health department. The Sugar Boys are scheduled to play BuildCon tomorrow at Levi Monowasa Stadium in a rescheduled Week 22 encounter, and according to sources, the team is unlikely to travel as they are still in Mazabuka at the time this article was being published. A source close to the team has dispelled rumors that Zambia Sugar is thinking of pulling out their sponsorship deal. The source clarified that the company instead worried that if a player is to be found positive, it may lead to the closure of the sugar plant, which may affect more lives as the majority of people in Mazabuka depend on sugar estate for their livelihood. Zambia Sugar is willing to continue paying the players and let the team be relegated to not put their lives in the majority in Mazabuka. This story is courtesy of Zamfoot Sports page. That sports news item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Parliament adjourns in view of coronavirus as MP put to rest. Former Chikankata DC Sylvester Simayava dies of COVID-19. Mwembeshi Clinic runs out of medical supplies. In international news, Nigeria wedding massacre as gunmen kill 18 guests and wound 30 others. And in sports, Nakambala Leopards stay in Super League in limbo. Our Camnet word verse of the day is coming from the book of Romans 38, to 39. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Remember to maintain social distancing, always mask up and sanitize. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV main news with Banda Tandiwe. Pleasant viewing.